What's going on, creators? Yeah, I just want to get on here and bring everybody back to now. Appreciate y'all being here and vibing with me for a bit. Yeah, today I'd like to continue the conversation on mental diets and hopefully add something positive to yours for today. It's easy to kind of drift into like the world and the narratives and the fucking worst case scenarios and the hysterics and all of this drama. It's another to kind of try to focus on staying at peace and, finding joy in the day. And a lot of that has to do, I guess, from my perspective, what I'm kind of doing that's helpful is just radically accepting the present moment, instead of battling and resisting it, which is like pretty common for like the old mindset to constantly want to do. It's like the present's never good enough. It's always like some imaginary future where there's like this you made it moment and like then everything's some like utopia. But like getting more into like just accepting the day for what it is, and also realizing that in doing that you're also seeing a reflection of yourself. And so one of the things about like spiritual practices and everything is like the more that you kind of go within and kind of connect with your creator, the more you start to see that reflected out in your life situations, your family, your employer, all these different, aspects of your life start mirroring this relationship that ultimately has to do more so with your identity and who you believe yourself to be, and that's part of the problem with the old mind. Is it believes that it's a brain and a body that's separate from everything else, separate from people, separate from circumstances, separate from events, separate from gods, separate from heaven, separate from spiritual things. Everything is its own little separate will, and the body's got its own will. You got every person's got their own little will, and nature's got a will of its own, and all of these separate forces and shit. When more so, as you start to become still and present, you start to see the connectedness of all things through consciousness. And that's what I'm kind of talking about as you look out into your life situations as you steward what you have versus constantly staying in a state of desire and wanting and like not enoughness and scarcity. Getting more into acceptance is, just accepting where you're at with things, and then able to grow it from there. It's like, if you're unable to, steward your relationships, your job, your obligations, your responsibilities with what you have, and you're just battling to stay conscious, having more shit and responsibilities and stuff to move around is not going to bring any type of joy or peace or harmony. It's like once you are able to do that with what you have, it's like you grow into these things, and by the time you're doing it, it doesn't feel any different. It just feels normal that you're doing all these extra things, mainly because you're not in your mind freaking out and fear about it so much. Like especially with like money and career, there's just like this drive to have more and more and more. But the thing with that, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but the thing of it is like you can do that, and then you're spinning all these plates and then freaking out about loss, or it's not going to work out, or worst case scenario happens, or whatever it is, and then you're spending the present moment, which is the only time that is actually real in your mind, projecting future drama, future shit, and not accepting the present moment for what it is, and not enjoying the present moment, not being being peaceful, being happy, being joyful. These are all things that you are being in the present moment. And really there's only ever really two things to be. One of them is fear, which involves suffering and torment, or love, which is the opposite, which involves no suffering. So it starts to become insane once you realize that paradigm, to spend the day not accepting the present moment, rejecting it, which is also rejecting your reflection, instead of accepting it, embracing it, and then, kind of like a garden, start to weed what needs weeded, prune what needs pruned, and, start to enjoy the flow and the process more. It's like playing an instrument. It's like, I've been playing that guitar, back there, for like, I don't know, 20 something years. And, the thing of it is, it's like you get to a point where it's like you have all these stories about like, oh, do I suck? Do people, what are people thinking? And especially if you're like playing, in front of people, then it's like, are they talking shit? You don't want to choke, don't want to fear, 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 fear. You eventually get to a point where it's just like me playing the guitar, for example, you just are able to get into a flow state with it where there isn't all that mental activity, and you're able to just, and actually when you're in that flow state, your playing is reflective of that state then too, and so it's like me personally, when I'm like, playing in front of people or playing a recording or any of that type of shit, there's very little mental activity. It's just really just being in a flow state, and you can take that flow state and apply it to multiple areas of your life. It doesn't have to be music. I've been able to keep in flow states with my handyman business, doing yard work, doing drywall, doing, being on a roof, all these, being up in a ladder, really, in a lift, all these different types of jobs, that people can, have for themselves too, that, you can equally be in just the amount of flow, trying to, master whatever you're doing by doing it better and better and better. To me, I think that evolution, is like a I don't know, kind of like divinely, a divine characteristic of always improving and making it better, flow better, making it more value, and that kind of I don't know, that kind of like flow. But the thing about even just like playing a guitar is just like there's always somebody on that next level above you, and you can look at it and through the old mind of separation and feel envious or jealous, or like you want to battle or tear them down so that you feel better and superior, and make them bad so that you feel better. All these kinds of drama that we can do. And instead of just like realizing that they're just showing you another level that either you can match frequencies with, you could go above that level. They're just showing you that next stage. And so much of like music is like, you have a progression in what you play. It's like for me, I started playing like punk music, then like metal music, then like hard rock, blues, 60s rock, 70s, and then it's just this progression. And it's like every time you learn a new thing, a whole new spectrum of possibilities opens up. And it's the same thing, I believe, like with your consciousness, where it's like as you hit these next levels, well, now the field of opportunities and the field of possibilities starts opening up even higher. And if you're able to steward those possibilities and steward those next levels, and not get in a state of like attachment, feeling like you're going to lose the progress that you've already made, or you're going to hit all these like scarcity beliefs, or like I'm not good enough, so I can't hit the next level. Whatever these limiting beliefs and these stories that you tell yourself, start to realize that you have a choice always of what guides you're listening to. And if you're listening to that voice of fear and you're feeling that corresponding energy of like constriction, unease, distress, it doesn't feel good to listen to the voice of fear. And so that's one way to know that you're listening to the wrong guide. And in that realization, in that present moment awareness, you can choose to listen to the Holy Spirit instead, which is the voice for love. So it's just like, instead of listening to that error of fear that's trying to convince you that separation exists, ask the Holy Spirit, what is the truth? What is real? What is this about? How does this connect in oneness? What does that mean? And start going on this thing. And just that quick realization that you can make a new choice, a lot of times is enough to move to that next level, enjoy the present moment more, accept, that what came has left, and not sitting there battling, resisting your own mind. Realizing more and more so that it's as simple as like take let me not show that. That's I don't know why there's this either. It's as simple as like taking taking this piece of paper and just, instead of like constantly holding on to this fear, it's just a process of just setting it down, letting it go, and then getting back into the present moment again. And sometimes it can be, especially if you're going through like a bridge of incidents, a series of events that's like filled with intense energy, is maybe one way to say it. It's like maybe it goes on for a day or two or three, but like as long as you're constantly bringing yourself back to the moment and not letting your mind start directing your state. What I mean by that is like you get maybe an external trigger, maybe some drama happens outside of yourself. Maybe it's some relationship issue or life situation issue or loss, some tragedy, any of these types of things. How long are you going to then let that story that you're telling yourself in your mind after you've already been excluded from the situation, it's like it's done, it's over with. Maybe you got in an argument and they stormed out and you stormed out or whatever it happened to be, and then you're just there in your mind. Are you attacking the other person, having vengeful thoughts, wanting to have vengeance on the other person? And it's like, how long are you going to let that mental story then linger is kind of the next question, because it's like it's only ever now. So it's like you can be doing that in the present moment, but as you're attacking the other person, you're also attacking yourself and suffering as a result. So it almost becomes, I would almost say stupid, because it's like it's kind of stupid to sit there and drink poison and hope it affects the other person, and so it's like the faster that you can get to a point of maybe asking God what to do about it, how does God see the situation, get into like a prayer kind of vibe, and even like meditation. It has such baggage with it because it's like it gets some people thinking it's some satanic thing, and then you have some other people just like having visions of like people sitting in Indian style with candles and shit, and as far as that goes, I consider something just being present of your breath or your breathing as like a meditative practice, where it's just like it brings you back into the present moment. Another thing you can do is like look at your hands or your feet or a part of your body and start to feel the life inside of your hands. This is like a technique that Eckhart Tolle describes, I think in New Earth, in one of his books, or Power of Now. Focusing on like the life force energy inside of you. You start with your hands and start feeling that energy inside of your hands, like not like the skin, but just like that presence of whatever that energy is. And then you can start to move that over your whole body. And as you're doing that, you're getting out of your mind and you're getting more kind of in a flow state. And as you're in that kind of state, and maybe silence then too, your natural condition starts to elevate in consciousness. It's like the more that you're able to drop the weights of fear and the drama and the hysterics and the stories of your mind, the easier it is then to kind of become more present. And as you become more present, your awareness and your consciousness starts to elevate more towards loving states of consciousness. Because a lot of times we're all just kind of trying to do is attain some sort of peace in the present moment. And so like through acceptance of what is, you're able to do more and more so of that. And it feels uncomfortable at first because we spend so much efforting and energy trying to deny the present moment for some reason, and like resist it and battle against it. it's kind of strange, but it's just something I do at least, and so I just want to kind of get on here and share these things. I put out a couple videos earlier, with techniques on like music licensing and stuff. I'll probably do more of those types of videos, mainly because you get so many people that are like having issues with like revenue streams and their job situation with all these fucking crazy things going on. It's a lot of people maybe not aware that that's even like something they can pursue and do and be successful at. And that when it comes to like independent music publishing and licensing and stuff, it's like you're not really, it's pretty, the glitz and glamour is not really something there, but you can create music, you can do the type of music that's in your kind of ability to do, and then have a market for it and everything else. And I think it's a really solid revenue stream for like independent musicians and producers to pursue that instead of having to work at some of these fucking places that suck and are soul sucking and everything else. And it doesn't matter where you live, and it doesn't really matter what your surroundings are. The internet makes a lot of these opportunities available to everybody to pursue. And so definitely want to share some of those things. I know there's a lot of creative people that listen to my channel, and if I could share that with them, so that they can have more freedom to pursue whatever it is they want to pursue. I'd like to be a part of that. And so, and I feel like doing that kind of that kind of vibe, is more. I find that shit more refreshing than just the constant drama of the world, and the constantly just, well, this person said, the gossiping, the fucking just, well, this is happening 500 miles away, and it's like probably not even going like that. It's just people are just taking these like things and building narratives, and they feel so right about these narratives that they gotta make other people wrong, and then they start battling against other people, and it's just like, for what? What is this trying to accomplish? It's like, just talk. It's just like, I'm so tired of just people thinking they know something about things, when it's like they're not putting any. It's like, well, if you think that utopia is gonna come from this, then you're not even involved in it. So it's like, so what does it matter? So it's like, I just get so tired of that kind of hysterics and the drama, and just, I'm trying to just get totally away from that as much as possible. Really having a hard time even just getting on social media anymore, just because of the just the hopeless vibe, and just the argumentative shit, and just not into that at all, and like, so hopefully changing gears a little bit, adding some more, content, for like independent producers and musicians, to give them, revenue streams that they may not have thought about, or, any of that kind of shit. I feel like is more, worth talking about than just, well, did you hear about this new mandate? Did you hear about this new whatever? It's just like, leave that. It's like, this shit has been going on, and it's like, it's great that on some level, it's like a lot of people are kind of like snapping out of like the delusion, but it's like also, still experiencing a lot of just like people not being present and just worrying about some future tomorrow. And it's just like, let's just sit and hang out and talk and vibe, in positive states. It's just, you're always going to just have people just worrying about, 5 minutes from now. It's like, you worrying about shit 5 minutes from now is not going to add 1 second to your life. It's like you get this illusion, and I get it on some level, where it's just like, thinking that this mental activity and preparingness, and like, oh, if I just, have enough of this over here, then I'm going to feel safe from danger, and like all that kind of shit. It's just like, it keeps you from actually enjoying today, enjoying the people in your life, enjoying, what is going on here and now. And it gets so frustrating, and like talking with people, and it's like, as you're talking to them, there's like that attention, but then it's like almost like you see them just drift back into their own mind and start fucking just on the rat race again. It's just like, snap out of it. And so, and not to sit there and like, I don't know, trying to shake people awake and shit. It's just like, I feel like even that is not accepting the present moment and accepting others in that present moment, by seeing them as separate, and like they, are unconscious, it's reflecting back. So there's still a lot of unconsciousness, in my own being to address. And so that's kind of like moving forward, I guess, for me. We got my dad's I think it's called a service, it's like funeral or whatever. It's not really a funeral because it's not like a dead body in a coffin. There's a cremation, and so it's more of like a get together, I guess, at the funeral home. I don't know what you call it, and so that's the next thing on the agenda for today. I gotta kind of start preparing for that, getting changed, and I think I'm gonna have to give a speech, which I'm probably just gonna freestyle. Just hopefully try to keep the energy upbeat. It has like more of like a celebration of life type vibe, and not super depressing hysterics and sadness and stuff like that. Which has been, I guess for me, going through this entire experience, it's like my dad's like pretty popular around here, and so it's like a lot of people, like if I go to the store or go to wherever, a lot of people will come up and talk to me about it, and like a lot of times people are like telling me their stories of loss and shit, and it's like, man, I don't know what to do with that sometimes when people bring that shit to me, and it's like, um, it's just like I keep reminding people when that happens, it's like, well, our loved ones aren't gone and whatever. I mean, they're now. I mean, it's and that's like kind of the disconnect I guess I get with like my perspective, versus a lot of other people. Is I just really stay in the present moment. I don't fucking care about linear time, and so it's like, okay, well, yeah, I mean, physically, their body, might not be here, but their essence, their soul, their spirit, whatever, their consciousness is merged with the one consciousness, which is ever present right now. So it's like the more you connect with God in the present moment, the more you can also connect with their essence, because they were part of God the whole time. It's just like part of creation, part of like the 3D world. There's a spiritual essence that is in back of it, that's connected in consciousness. So it's like everything in form has a root in heaven and spirit in God's consciousness. It's like it's all connected. There's only one consciousness, expressing itself in unique form, but once the mask comes off, it's all just like the one consciousness again. And each person representing that form gives you a different characteristic of the one. And so yeah, and that's kind of how I feel about it. And so when I hear others with how they're processing and dealing with loss, and some of them have been dealing with it for a long time, and just I hope that they get relief and find peace, through whatever they're dealing with. But yeah, I think I'm going to bounce for now. So I appreciate everybody that liking, sharing, subscribing, sharing the content with your friends and family or social media or whatever. I also appreciate your spiritual support and your financial support. Thank you for that. I do appreciate that. And yeah, other than that, until the next now, God bless.